Good morning, guys. So I felt that it might be helpful to just do a little bit more review of Hinduism and Buddhism if you were a little confused from yesterday. So let's just take a moment and review the religions and things we've already talked about. What is the holy book of Judaism or of the Jews? That would be the Torah. Remember, the most important of their writings is the Ten Commandments. And the founder of Judaism is Abraham. Remember, he made a covenant with God. Remember that they worship in a synagogue on Saturdays. As we said, the Ten Commandments is the most holy of their laws. What type of writing is associated with ancient Mesopotamia? Like who came up with the world's first writing? That'd be the Sumerians, and it was called cuneiform. When we think about the Egyptians, though, that writing would be hieroglyphs. And then the rivers that we talked about in last lesson for ancient India would be the Indus, and then later the Ganges. Remember, we've also talked about Zoroastrianism. Zoroastrianism is also monotheistic like Judaism, but there's also the emphasis that there's a struggle between good and evil, something that's not necessarily shared by Hinduism or Buddhism. So let's just go over, again, just quickly, Hinduism and Buddhism. We'll start with Hinduism because Hinduism is older. So our symbol here, this is Om, A-U-M. It's the first of the Sanskrit alphabet. And so if you ever heard people who are meditating and they're like, Om, Om, that's the exact same word. It's kind of like Amen. It's how prayers should begin and end. And it's considered to be the world's oldest religion. And it very much influenced Indian society and culture. About 1 billion people in the world today are Hindus. It is it's about 8% of the world's population. And it is, of course, as we said, an important part of India today. And you're going to be doing an Edpuzzle, which does a really good job of explaining little bits of Hinduism and then an excellent job with explaining Buddhism. They believe in many forms of one God. If you remember that the fancy word for that was monism. And they believe that all of these different gods are just different personalities of Brahman, Nirgana. So if you think about that, when you think about yourself, do you have one way that you act around your friends, one way that you act around your grandma, one way you act around your mom? That idea that we have different parts of our personality, but it's still kind of the one God. And so there's different ones, like there's Shiva the Destroyer. We talked about Ganesha, who is the elephant god, whose prosperity and stuff, he's one of the most popular. Now, all of this is your soul. Your soul is trying to rejoin Brahman Nirgana. Your soul wants to stop being reborn. But in order to do that, it has to work through the cycle of life. It has to work through the caste system, and you have to eventually get to the very top of the system and be a Brahmin. Once you have done that and lived through lives as a Brahmin, then you would achieve moksha. Moksha, it means to be one. It means to be one with the universe. Okay, so you get to be one with Brahman Nirgana. And so in order to do this, you have to have good karma, consequence of your action, and you have to have done your dharma, your duties, your obligations, your responsibilities. The most sacred and holy of their writings are the Vedas and the Upanishads. Remember, it took them a long time to actually start writing things down because they thought that when you wrote things down, you took away the power of the words. And we know that the religion did spread throughout India, but it's only really in India. So Buddhism comes out because remember that in Hinduism, Siddhartha Gautama, he didn't feel that Hinduism could solve the suffering of the world. So Buddha, of course, is Siddhartha Gautama. He is the great teacher, the Enlightened One. And you can see here how that due to Ashoka's missionaries, how that it spread into China, later Korea, then Japan, and down into Thailand, Malaysia, and Cambodia, and even into Indonesia. Even though today in Indonesia, Islam is actually the world's major religion. So the Buddha, the great teacher, the Enlightened One, Siddhartha Gautama is the founder. Hinduism, by the way, has no single founder. There's no one person. Okay. It's one of those religions that we don't have a founder. And that's very odd because every religion has a founder except for Hinduism. That's something that sets it apart. Hinduism and Buddhism, though, have a lot in common because remember that Buddhism comes out of Hinduism. So they both believe in karma. They both believe in reincarnation. But remember that Buddha rejected the Hindu gods. He rejected the caste system. So therefore, if he rejects the caste system, he's not going to believe in this whole concept of dharma and the importance of doing your duty. The most important tenets or beliefs of the Buddhism are in the Four Noble Truths. Remember that life is suffering. Suffering is caused by desire. To end suffering, we have to end desire. And then how do we end desire? We follow the Eightfold Path. And the Eightfold Path is the middle way. It's avoiding extremes. And once we do that, we will achieve enlightenment. Enlightenment is nirvana. Nirvana, the word literally means to blow out. So it's the end of the cycle of rebirth. Okay, it's very similar to moksha, which is the end in Hinduism, that whole idea of becoming one with the universe. Okay, so remember we have the Four Noble Truths and the Eightfold Path. Both religions, Hinduism and Buddhism, also believe that all life is sacred. So they both started in India. They both believe all life is sacred. They both believe in reincarnation. They both believe in karma. They both also practice yoga. But remember, Buddhists rejected the caste system. They reject the Hindu gods. Anyone can achieve enlightenment. So here's a nice little comparison. Okay, you can always, remember, screenshot. You can pause if you're not sure how to screenshot, and you can have this little kind of comparison. Hinduism has no founder. Buddhism is founded by Siddhartha Gautama. Your duty and karma, very important in Hinduism. Karma is accepted in Buddhism because the consequences of your action are going to follow you in your reincarnation. There's no gods in Buddhism. We call this non-theistic, okay, versus monism in Hinduism, although the Soul Test often says they're polytheistic. They believe both in reincarnation, both started in India. Ultimate goal in Hinduism is moksha, and it's nirvana in Buddhism. They both believe in nonviolence, that all life is sacred. They're both vegetarians. Buddhism, remember, rejects the caste system, this very strict hierarchy that Hindus cannot change. Okay, so that's just a little slower, maybe kind of a little review of Hinduism and Buddhism, which can help you on your Venn diagram and on your Ed puzzle today.